Hey lovelies, super excited that Susie's asked me to make a video for you all this week about Breech. So my name's Nissa, I'm a hypnobirthing midwife, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about understanding breech and transverse babies. So I've got my baby Pip here. So for many of you, your baby will be lying head down for the majority, but for some of you, you will have babies that are lying in slightly more exciting positions. So they might be transverse, which means they're lying across your tummy, could be, feet out, sticking out here, or the other way round, feet tucked in. And some of you will have babies that are lying in a breech position, so bottom down, and that might be complete breech where their feet are up by their ears, like so. They're very flexible babies. It might be frank breech where Pip's legs don't really cross but their legs are crossed over, or footbeam breech where the presenting part is actually a foot or both feet. So it can be a bit of a shocker when you find out that your baby is breech. Normally it might be 32, 34, 36 weeks of pregnancy, or maybe even a little bit later. And I think it leaves mums reeling, to be honest, and it's a tricky one. So what to do? What's the most practical and sensible thing to do when you find out that your baby is lying breech or transverse? So it might be easier said than done, but don't panic, because there are lots of options. So when your baby is lying that way, the reason that they're lying bum down, it can be for many different reasons. And if you think about the womb or the uterus, this space, that's not, a complete oval. It's actually, the shape of it is affected by the shape of your pelvis and the ligaments that are holding your uterus in place. And so sometimes if your ligaments and muscles are misaligned, so they're tight on one side or loose on the other side, that affects the shape of the uterus or the womb. So it creates a certain space, and of course your baby is just making the most of the space that they have. And if that space is, tilted or twisted, that can really impact on the way they lie, and that can actually encourage a baby into that breech or transverse position. So you can start to think about practical things that you can do to encourage your baby to turn. And if you follow, a certain method, there's a good chance that actually you can get your baby to turn yourself. I will say not all babies will turn, not all babies are meant to turn. So sometimes, they shouldn't turn for reasons like they have a very short cord, other reasons. And in which case, if your baby doesn't turn, it's good to kind of acknowledge, okay, well, that's the right thing for my baby. But you can definitely have a good go at getting your baby to turn. So another thing that encourages baby to lie breech or transverse is when we're doing a lot of leaning back. So if we work at a desk and we're always leaning back, we drive our cars a lot like this, we're lounging back when we're resting, that can create a lot of space, which encourages baby to lie in a breech position. Also, sometimes if you're incredibly stressed, there is a profound mind-body connection, and if you're really, really stressed about something, you've got something going on in your life, that sometimes our bodies respond to that stress, and they can hold our babies in breech. So there's lots of reasons. So what to do in a practical sense if you find your baby's breech? Well, I definitely suggest that number one, you try and really, really relax. So not always the easiest thing to do, but I would run a lovely warm bath, not too hot, and really, you know, give yourself an hour and a half to rest and relax in that bath. Perhaps light some candles in the evening if it's after work or the weekend. Pop some nice relaxation on in the background, some music, or perhaps like a yoga nidra relaxation track. So you're giving yourself, your body and mind, time to just go, just let go of all that tension, you know, to really, really rest. Now, the next thing that's quite important to do is to think about your lifestyle. Now, this is a big one, really. So if you're sitting back a lot, you're quite sedentary, not really exercising too much or at all, not walking, all of those things, that's going to, it's probably going to keep your baby in that breech position, and it's quite important that you start to make some changes. So that means starting to walk every day for, you know, half an hour. Instead of sitting back like this, you're going to be propping all the pillows behind you so that you're starting to sit forward. Definitely get one of those great big exercise balls. They're brilliant for encouraging you to sit in a better position. You can have one at home, you can have one at the office if you work it, you know, in that kind of a job, and that's going to help you to start those good habits, so that if your baby, you can get your baby to turn. It's those lifestyle changes that are going to keep your baby in that head down position and not flip back. So that's really important. There are a few things that are particularly good. So yoga is very good. Get down to a yoga class, you know, once or twice a week, or do one at home with the DVD if you don't feel like, you know, you're not in the mood, you're not wanting to go out. And then there's a series of things that you can do for, let's say, 4 days, and that can help your baby to turn. And what they are is reboso technique. So you might not know about reboso. It's a brilliant big scarf. I should have one here, really. Big old stretchy scarf. You can Google reboso, R-E-B-O-Z-O, and you can do a brilliant technique with the reboso, which actually you're on hands and knees, mums, and your friend or partner puts a scarf round your tummy and gently lifts up. And you can do some sifting. Partner does some gentle sifting, and it's really literally lifting your baby up so that the ligaments and muscles can actually relax. So they've been tight for however many weeks of pregnancy you are, so 30, 35, 36 weeks. The weight of your baby's been pulling those ligaments and muscles tight. And actually by lifting the baby, they're allowed to relax, and that can create a little bit of space, which encourages baby to move a little bit. Now, probably the reboso technique alone won't be enough to turn your baby, but it's a good one to start changing things inside your pelvis and your uterus, to freeing it up a little bit. And so you'll be doing that, you know, good, you know, 3-4 times a day for 3 to 5 minutes, that technique. And you want to follow that by 2 really good postures, and this is really what gets a baby to turn. So I even had an email yesterday from one of my hypnobirthing clients just saying, hey Nissa, I went for the scan, baby's turned, don't need the ECV, external cephalic version. You know, she was delighted. She just followed this method for 4 days and her baby turned. So we've done the lifestyle, we're doing a little reboso, 3 to 5 minutes, 4 times a day. And then these are the 2 postures that really make the difference. So the first one is, I call it a 4-4 bend, but you can definitely find it on YouTube, and it's what would you call it? It's a forward leaning inversion. So what you're going to be doing is kneeling on a sofa, and then with your knees on the sofa, feet on the sofa, you're going to be leaning forward so that your hands are actually on the floor. It's a bit like a downward dog, except your knees are on the sofa. And when you're down there, and it can feel quite intense when you're down there the first few times, because your head is below your heart. You take 4 breaths, and then you come back up. So you're kneeling up on the sofa, and then you repeat that 4 times. So it's a 4-4 bend. And by doing that, you're leaning down, and you're allowing your baby to come actually out of the pelvis. And when you come back down, we come back up again. The baby is freed up a little bit. The muscles are allowed to relax and rest. And so that's a really good one to do. And when you combine that with the next posture, which is a breech bend, you're onto a winner. So if your baby is prepared to turn, the chances are that this sequence will get them to turn. So the last posture in the sequence, step 4, is a breech bend. So you do this after the 4-4 bend 4 times a day for 4 days. And it's quite a intense one. So what you have to do is you get a ironing board or a load of pillows, you pile them up so that you can then actually lie on the sofa with your feet at the top of the sofa, and you're laying on your back like so, but the feet are up and your head is actually down by the floor. Can't really demonstrate it properly here, unfortunately. And you're literally upside down, lying on your back at an angle, and you stay there for 15 to 20 minutes. And that really allows your baby to flex its head like so, and it gives it more space. So if it will and wants to turn, it can turn. And having said that, they often don't go straight from breech to head down. So the first few times you do it, they might turn to transverse, and then if you keep going with it, all the way down. And it works brilliantly. And so it's a process, and you have to be mindful when you do those postures. If you are not feeling well, obviously you stop. If you get any pain, you stop. If you've got high blood pressure or any real complex medical conditions, best to check with your doctor or midwife before you do them. But they can work brilliantly. So I really suggest that if you do find out your baby is breech or transverse, first of all, take a breath, relax, and then follow that sequence. And if your baby wants to, the chances are you've got a really good, it's a really good chance of baby turning. So that whole sequence is part of my online course, alignyourbaby.com. And in that course, I teach you all about getting your pelvis into best shape for birth, encouraging baby into a head down forward position, which is the position which enables the greatest chance of having a quick birth, a straightforward birth, and reduces the chances of needing intervention. So it is all there. I hope you enjoyed, and have an amazing week. Bye.